Now we do still have one more cable right here, which is our 12-volt feed, but all we have is 24-volt right here. And if you'll notice right here, I made this nut loose because I need to make a tap, a fuse for a project later on. And that should work out really well right there. Now this is just a fuse holder that has an inline fuse, and this is the inline fuse right here. Because we're going to use this to tap off 24-volt power and convert it into 12-volt power. And unfortunately, to do that, we basically have to stop working over here and move over back to this engine bay compartment over here and talk about this thing right there. Now, I don't legitimately want to get in this bay or talk about this converter over here, but I do need space. There's not too much more space in here to work with, and so I need to move my connection points over to this bay. And this is a great big huge battery charger. Basically it's a battery maintainer for the chassis batteries right here. So when you are plugged in for a prolonged period of time or running the generator, this will charge the chassis batteries using 120 volt power right there. Now there's actually a circuit breaker inside. And if we go to the distribution panel right here, we have this one that battery charger 24 volt. So you would turn that on to turn that outlet on outside, which is basically a battery maintainer. Now in the RV world, they usually have a smart battery module called a BIRD, bidirectional isolator relay delay, but on the luxury buses, they don't do that. And in 1996, they went with this great big huge Magnatech converter. Really, it's just a big transformer right there. A lot of RV manufacturers use a very similar one, but this takes up a lot of real estate, and I don't really think we need 35 amps of charge voltage here. I'm sorry, charge current. And we're not going to be using the Vanner equalizer chargers. We're going to go with these Orions. Now, these are called battery DC to DC converters, but the best way I consider these would be a battery simulator. So you have 24 volt that's going to come in, and then you're going to have 12 volt that's going to come out. Well, it says 18 to 35 and then 10 to 15 coming out. And this is what's going to be providing 12 volt power to the 12 volt side of the house. But this is only maxed out at 70 amps of current, which we can see right there. It will peak out at 85 for maximum load for peak, but continuous, it'll only put out about 70 amps, 12 volt with 24 coming in. On the power distribution right here, you can see we're protected by a 150 amp breaker. So unfortunately, just one of these will not work, which is why I have two of them. And the documentation I've seen from Victron says you can use up to 5 of these paralleled together to get the output that you need. This is the biggest I could find was 70. Now 2 of these already, I don't have any room in this bay for one of them. But if I go ahead and upgrade the 24 volt chassis battery maintainer, which is what this box is right here. Again, I'm not really sponsored by Victron. I'm not a huge fan of Victron on a lot of reasons, but it is high quality stuff, and they're calling it the Blue Smart Charger, so 24 volt. And basically, it'll do a smart float charge on it with a maximum output of, I think, 5 amps. But this is just going to be a battery maintainer anyways, but I think what we can see right here, that does not take up nearly as much space. Now another problem with this Magnatech battery charger is that it puts out some pretty noisy power, and also it's a very loud humming transformer. I think this should be all electronic switching, but more importantly, these are basically meant for the marine world. And this is the engine compartment. It's going to be quite dirty, loud, dusty, and warm. And I need something that I can trust, and I have seen these on a number of buses. I think it does have Bluetooth connectivity, but we won't really be worrying about that. So like I said, we're pausing this side and we're moving over here so I can remove this box over here, upgrade it, solve a lot of problems down the road anyways, and figure out what this whole mess of loop of airline is. I don't know what that is. And for those that are curious, I did go ahead and map it out. These are the 24 volt DC leads coming off. So you have negative and positive. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the negative from that isolated stud right there. This one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, goes all the way down there over here. So that everybody's wondering, what's a 24 volt charger? Look, 24 volt battery charger. Cables back there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Goes into the breaker, back out of the breaker, back through the harness over here. And then it pops back out over here to this connection point right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which then goes to the shunt. And then from here, that battery cable on top comes all the way down to the 24 disconnect down here. So we get to simplify a little bit, but now we also understand what's going on, right? Again, that's just for the 24 volt chassis battery maintainer when you're plugged in or boondocking. Has everybody got that? Because I'm going to rip it out and put in the new one. Obviously, I can't speak for the next technician, but I think they'll be glad this is out of the way if they ever need to work in this engine compartment. Because those are pretty heavy. We can see we have a lot more room to work in here, right? And see what all these battery cables are going to. Now, it's always unnerving to drill holes and things that you don't know if you should drill holes in or not. But luckily, Liberty already did most of the work for me. So they already put some rib nuts or some nut certs right there. So I can cut a piece of plywood right here and I can use that. It'll be much easier for future too. This should just be the voltage regulator for the great big huge behemoth. Alternator right here. So I'll get that out of the way so that I can... Now you guys know why I have so many project scrap around. You never know when you just need a little piece. Ha. Thankfully, I have a nice template where the holes are going to be. On further examination, I mean, yeah, this was probably no good. Ugh. Go ahead and make it look pretty, right? I know this is plywood in a non-weatherproof area, but it's mounted on a wall up high. Moisture shouldn't really be that much of a concern to it. If that helps alleviate anybody's concerns. Barely have room for these. Alright, that should look a lot better. Got that secured out of the way. We'll zip tie everything when we're done. This is pretty straightforward. It's already got the inline fuse holder. We'll just go negative to positive. And now I just have to get ground from my bus bar, 24 volt, jump those together. And then this is my 12 volt out on this side, which of course, this is the 12 volt that it needs to get hooked up to right here. I'll have to feed that through and then get some cables hooked up. Now, I cannot say I'm proud of what I'm doing, but I do believe I've said many times that I don't really like Victron's connections. You have to parallel the two negatives or the two grounds right here. And I really don't want that much lateral, or I guess downward force with it like this way. You think about all the pressure that's going to be right there. And I don't really want so many cables sticking out right here that's going to easily get snagged. So I have to make 3 jumpers total. One for the 24 positive, one for the 12 positive, and one for the common or the negative. That was a lot of work. So let me see if I can't make heads or tails of it for you. Yellow with red, we said was 12 volts. So let's go to the 12 volt side. We have a jumper over to this side, which goes to the 12 volt side right there, which is 12 volt output. It goes from there all the way to this point right there, which is the 12-volt battery disconnect. And of course it has its own overcurrent protection right there. That's why we went with 140 watts, although with two of these, peak surge wattage will get up to 170. Yeah, 85 times 2. All right, so red we said was 24 volt. So that's our 24 volt coming in from the batteries, and there's a jumper that goes from here to the 24 volt in underneath. Like I said, Victron really doesn't think out battery cables very well at all. I don't have the positive hooked up yet. We'll cover that shortly, but that's the 24 volt power feed to the 12 volt converter. The last one's going to be ground. Ground I have right here, and then jump over to here. So theoretically, like I said, these, I would call them battery simulators. So I do have them wired in parallel, but I do also have the negative on one feed and then the positive over here on another. So we do have that split, and then we just have jumpers in between. Hopefully that should balance all the loads out. This one, because it's ground, just goes right across from there, right over to the ground bus bar right there. The last thing I didn't point out is, remember we had a 12 volt tap off of the Vanner equalizer right here. And I didn't know what they went to. At any rate, I routed them over here. Haven't secured anything yet, so that's what that is. That's the 12 volt feed, and that's the ground. And I'm pretty confident they're not touching each other. It might look a little bit sketchy, but so far we're doing really well right there. I'm not going to secure any wires yet, because if I do that, I'm inviting having to tear it all apart again. The last thing I do want to do is just get some overcurrent protection for this 24 volt wire that's going through this harness over there to the 12 volt supply. So remember, overcurrent protection just protects the wires from overheating and melting, not the components. Now this is a newer style, and get used to this style because we're going to see this a lot in the industry and on this job. So the fuse just has connection points right there. Normally I would say I don't like these fuses, but they do solve a lot of problems with compact use, if that makes any sense. They don't take a lot of square footage at all compared to normal fuse holders. All right, that's nice and tight. There's a built-in boot to protect it from shorting. But compared to even this type of inline circuit, that's a pretty big amount of footprint that it takes. But this is the more common one that you would actually see would be one of these, and that thing is massive. And yeah, that solves a lot of problems. Now I understand everybody's first question to me based on the last video is, how are you integrating these batteries into the alternator charge from the bus? I've touched on that just a little bit. These units right here are DC to DC converters. They are not battery chargers from the chassis to the house batteries. They are strictly a standalone battery simulator that takes a 24 volt and immediately turns it into 12 volt output. All right, so this really is just an appendage of the batteries that are over here, if that makes any sense. Those are not bidirectional in any way whatsoever. You strictly have 24 volt in, 12 volt out. Well, it does have a scale on there because there is a little potentiometer underneath right there. You can adjust the output on if you wanted to, but I don't need to do that. So when it comes to being charged off the engine, I won't deny, I'm still just going to be using the original converters. 24 volt alternator right here is a high capacity alternator. It is oil cooled, so we shouldn't have to worry about it overheating. And this does have battery isolator chargers over there for the house and the engine. There's like 2 of them, and I think that's mostly the bus air that this is equipped with, because this does have a couple of great big huge DC motors that it has to power also. And these are just equipped with diodes in there to limit backflow, so they're just battery isolators. Not a lot of logic to the whole thing. And trying to change the charger from this setup to a DC to DC charger from here to the house batteries doesn't seem like something I need to do at this point. I will give it a test out. I know some people said in the last video, because there are 4 of these batteries and each one by themselves could draw 200 amps from charge. That's all roughly 800 amps, which of course more than that alternator can put out. But the thing about it is, I really don't have the information to tell you whether that's good or bad for this alternator. It's usually about a 300 amp alternator, so it's only going to have a peak amperage that it can put out anyways. There is some responsibility to the owner and operator of the bus not to run the dash AC, the bus AC, every single component possible while you're driving down the road. That's why you still do have the generator, which will then power up the actual battery chargers right there, which we're not doing on this video. So for the time being, while I am working on this, I will keep troubleshooting and testing it and see if we are overheating or damaging that alternator. I suspect we're going to be okay, but there's the best honest answer I can give you. All right, guys, I got some really long zip ties because these are very heavy cables right there. I'll get that all secured. I'm going to put the support back in right here, and we'll get this put back into place, and we'll start testing everything out. I can honestly say this was a heck of a job. I'm exhausted. I think this is the third day I'm working on it. So if I sound tired, that's why. There's a lot to do. Let me just take this time to remind everybody that there's an Elegant Lady, so it has a 24-volt house bus on it. Liberty Classics might still have this thing, but it might be a 12-volt alternator, and don't borrow one off of a 24-volt chassis off an Elegant Lady and throw it on a Classic, because you will probably boil out 12-volt batteries, even if they are brand new. Not that I've ever done that, but it's an important lesson to learn, nonetheless.